Father Donald Riley. I'm an Augustinian. Well, as an Augustinian, the connection has been pretty strong since I was a teenager.
Well, I'm obviously a priest, Father Jim Cardosi. Been blessed to be the parochial vicar here since June of 2015.
My name is Kathy Boyle, and I live on St. Denis Lane, and we have since 1997. I started teaching at St. Denis in 1991, which prompted us to want to move to Havertown.
I'm Father Kevin, and my connection to St. Denis is the people of St. Denis taught me at a very, very young age what it meant to be a priest. In 2002, I was 27 years old, and I'd spent 9 years in the seminary, and it wasn't until I got here that I knew what it meant to be a priest. And I served 6 years as the assistant parochial vicar for 4 pastors. Then I had the great privilege to return in 2013 as the pastor.
My name is Ralph Puri, and for just shy of about 3 months, I was the music director, liturgy director for St. Denis Parish for just about almost 36 years.
My name is Jackie Ryan. I've been in this parish for 38 years, I can't believe it. I've taught at St. Denis / Cardinal Foley for 29 years, and I taught the 3-year-olds.
My name is Ryan McKenna, and I was born into this parish. I went to school at Cardinal Foley for all 11 years.
My name is Bridget Dougherty. I have been a parishioner for 35 years at St. Denis, and I went to school at St. Denis with my 5 siblings. And 2 years ago, I came back to what is now Cardinal Foley to take on a role as a preschool teacher at the school.
My name is Mary Agnes Ostick, and I and my family have been members of St. Denis Parish for 41 years.
My name is Patrick Hagan. I've been a member of St. Denis Parish since 1978. My wife Mary Ann and I have raised 5 children in the parish.
My name's Chrissy Rosser. I'm a parishioner, and I have been a parishioner almost my entire life. My parents moved into the parish in 1973, about a month before my first birthday.
My name's Patricia Landau Smith. I'm a lifelong parishioner. I was baptized, received all my sacraments here. Went to St. Denis School, as did my brother and sisters. My mom taught at the school for 10 years. My children went to St. Denis School and received all their sacraments here. So I'm pretty embedded in the parish.
My name is Lauren. When I think about St. Denis, I always help out and I like to do church schools. I make sure all the stuff is out for church.
My name is Rita Block. My connection, for the most part, has been connected with the school. I started in January of 1977. I was 26 years old, and I was still teaching as of last year.
Nino Cutrofello, lifelong member of the parish. I live on Hearst Terrace.
My name's Mary Kearney, and I've been a parishioner for 76 years.
My name is Leo Clark Jr., and I've been a parishioner of St. Denis since 1960.
Hi, my name's Andy Persson. I am a proud graduate of St. Denis.
My name's Gina Hagan. I went to St. Denis School as a kid, and now as an adult I'm a parishioner, and my daughter will be going to Cardinal Foley.
Oh, I've got a million of them. My best memories are always the ones that involve the people that I have met and loved and have become so dear to me. As a teacher, it's been so gratifying to have students come back to me and tell me how they're doing now. They're adults, and it's wonderful to hear that. I also have taught many of the children of my former students, and that's a beautiful thing.
My earliest memory of St. Denis is coming here with the group that I hung around with in high school for Holy Thursday. And I forget who the priest was, but he gave a very good homily. Never thinking that, fast forward about 20-some years, that I would be pastor of the parish.
So I have a lot of great memories from St. Denis. I loved the penny walk, the Mike Zabel basketball tournaments, church practice with Mr. Puri, and pre-Kina. All of those shared experiences with either my former classmates or my fellow parishioners have really created a sense of community that has a lasting impact on me.
The fun fair. How could you not forget the fun fair? It is just amazing. Seeing everyone in the parish, and everyone was helping out, everyone was volunteering. It was the whole parish working together.
The fun fair. I love my memories of the fun fair. I ran the donut booth for years. I met so many nice parents and children that helped out in the booth. The best way I could sum up the fun fair, it brings the past and the present together. I remember taking my children as youngsters to the fun fair, and now I'm taking my grandchildren to the fun fair.
Going to the fun fair and becoming a coach.
The fun fair, ever since I was a young kid, I love playing on the rides and running around. And as I've grown older, I've had the ambition to volunteer and watch other people make the memories that I did.
So my parents were very involved at St. Denis, volunteering with various CYO sports, and my dad took over the holiday tournament, which fondly became the Mike Zabel Christmas tournament. So my favorite memories were getting our Christmas presents and then bringing them all down to the holiday tournament, where we would see all of our friends and he would DJ during halftime of all the games. I lost my dad suddenly when I was 17 years old, and one of my best memories of St. Denis is the way the community rallied around us and showed up for us in those very dark days. At his funeral, there were so many people in the community there to support us that they had to put TVs outside the church so that everyone could show their support to our family and honor my dad, which we'll never forget.
I could probably fill the whole rest of this video with my memories of St. Denis, because there are many. I guess one of the real high points was when our adult choir, we took 2 European trips. One was in 1996, one was in 1999. The first one we sang at the Vatican for the All Souls Day Mass in St. Peter's Basilica. We sang a formal concert. It was a high point.
The memories of St. Denis are still unfolding. I came here so young that there's so many things that stand out. But one event in particular, and I remember reflecting upon this years ago when I left St. Denis the first time, was early on, first weeks I was here, we had a funeral of a woman who had no family. And I'd shared at the morning mass, just very innocently, that there was going to be a funeral today and nobody was going to be here, and just to pray for this woman. And that morning, the morning mass people returned. Joe Perna, who stands out as such a hero in this parish for so many reasons, ordered flowers for this woman. And if you were to come at 11 o'clock that morning, you would have thought this woman had a big family, because word spread that there was nobody. And all of a sudden, the people of St. Denis, as they always do, showed up, showed their love, prayed together for a total stranger. I think that collects all of my fondest memories. There's been a lot of fun things that I've experienced here, a lot of joyful things. We've all carried the cross with different people, but those stand out as my greatest memories, when people come together and they share the joys and sorrows of people's lives. And there's so many, almost too many to count, but I think that one captures the essence of what's my favorite thing about St. Denis.
That's really a hard question. Having been here forever, there's almost too many memories to say what's the best. I got married in St. Denis Church. That's a stellar memory. My daughter just got married in St. Denis Church. Probably best memories are lifelong friendships that I have had.
Going to the fun fair and becoming a coach.
My best memory is for sure being a part of St. Genesius Theater Society. So St. Genesius is our middle school theater program. It is a community that welcomes and celebrates everyone. I have met so many people through participating in the theater and have created this group of friends that I will have for the rest of my life. It is a program that helps kids see these talents and these abilities that they wouldn't otherwise even know that they have.
I have taught at St. Denis through many years, and I think when you ask me my favorite memory, it is more a lot of memories of connecting with students that I taught and seeing them as adults and just seeing the wonderful people that they've turned out to be.
My best memory of St. Denis is going to the Parade of Champions on our football team. We had an amazing group of talented student athletes and coaches, led by Jay Stretch and Gary Pergolini and Pat Clark and Jim Meehan, and a cast of incredible coaches that led us to victory.
I just had an incredible childhood, and it's all the things you don't appreciate growing up, riding your bike around town, walking everywhere. And I feel like we sort of grew up in Bedford Falls, the town from It's a Wonderful Life. You know, St. Denis, the school and the church is a main part of that.
Coach Diana, Coach Curry, Mr. Pennypacker, Mr. Minolti, Sister Mariana, and Mrs. Ryan.
Well, I'm not going to start with names because there's too many. And I don't want to eliminate anyone. But obviously, I have a very special relationship with Father Kevin and obviously our staff, who I work very closely with. It's just a great group of people.
When I first arrived, Mary Lynch, who preceded me, was still around. She had been here, I think, as the organist for about 40 years. Betty Walsh was another 8 o'clock Mass organist. Sal DiTrolio was the choir director before I came. John Serkey, I think, was after Sal. Even working the fair for all those years with John and Helen Savini and Vince Gorski.
Father Kevin has been a very important part of my life. When I had very serious surgery, he was at the hospital 2 days after my surgery. When my house caught on fire, he was in the driveway within minutes after the fire engines arrived. Father Jim has been such a blessing since Father Sherman, Monsignor Graham, Monsignor Marino, all of the priests, Father Donnelly, Father Doyle, Father Riley, they've all been very, very important part of my spiritual life and my life at St. Denis.
Being here 6 years, I know so many people, and so many people stand out. Johnny Stretch, he was always there with his short sleeve white dress shirt, just different activities. He was always there. There was Joe Perna. There was Larry DePaul. There was Father Sherman, Father Grimes, Enrights, the Gregories, Mrs. Gregory. There's St. Denis School and there's Mrs. Gregory. My neighbors. I mean, we all went to school here at St. Denis and interacted with one another.
So the first one would be my husband. Met him through St. Denis. It's really special to me that we had the same upbringing, same morals, and we share a love for all things Bulldog. But, after spending a lifetime at the same parish, I have a list that's, too long to go through. But I think that speaks volumes to the parish's greatness. When you're a kid, you don't choose your parish, but when you're an adult, you do. And for me, there was no question about, where I was going to go. Home is where the heart is.
My friends that I walk up to church with for 6:30 Mass during Lent, Father Don Riley. Father Riley married us. He kind of transitioned the parish from, we were always current, but he transitioned us to, I think, really being a modern parish and being a forward-thinking parish. Ann Clark and Terry Gregory, the role models for every woman around here. Mrs. Clark would be walking down and she'd stop me and she'd say, I have so-and-so on my prayer list. Now remind me why I have them there. Sister Mariana, another wonderful person who's a favorite person. Going back to my St. Denis days, Sister Ann Miriam, who, I don't even remember what she taught, probably religion, but she taught the charism of mercy in everything that she did. I have a lifelong friend who started a campaign in New Hampshire called Common Man for Ukraine. She's visited the Ukraine now, I think, 11 times to bring things to children. That spirit that lives within us, of those of us who grew up here and grew up in our church, you can't fabricate in other ways.
My first grade was Sister Thomas Mary, and that's where I met many friends that I'm still friends with, including my husband. I met him in first grade and we've been married for 50 years. But Sister Thomas Mary made such an impression on my faith formation. And she told us about Simeon and Anna, who had the greatest faith. They knew that when they saw Jesus, that he was the Savior. And I remember going home that night and asking God if he would give me the gift of faith, just like Simeon's. And I believe he did, because my faith has sustained me through all these years.
Well, certainly because I worked at the school, there are many teachers that I have taught with that are also members of the parish. Rita Block is one that comes to my mind, who was a longtime teacher at St. Denis and still continues to help us at the school today as a volunteer with our sewing elective. Mrs. Gregory, who was the longtime administrative assistant to the principal down at school.
So some of my best friends I grew up with going to St. Denis together, and they are still my best friends to this day. Beth Hagen, Carolyn Kearney, Jackie Ryan. And I'm always thankful to my parents for sending me to St. Denis, because I never would have met these wonderful lifelong friends had I not gone there.
Well, we met as adults, but I think I'd get in trouble if I didn't say my wife to start. And then besides her, truly all of my closest friends are classmates of mine from growing up at St. Denis.
Well, that's a great question, and it's still unfolding because I'm still here, so I don't want to get in trouble. But I often think of the greats, Joe Perna, the Sabinis. We think of the Sisters of Mercy, Sister Mariana, Sister Maureen Chrissy, Sister Joellen. When I came here, there were 11 sisters in the convent. Anne Clark, I think of Terry Gregory. So many people, that list goes on. And now that I've been back, I've walked with these people, I've prayed with these people, and now I've celebrated a lot of their funerals. And I remember in particular Mrs. Clark's funeral, and I used the words of Monsignor Trinity, that prayer that he used to pray so often. Sometimes I feel like a motherless child. And when Anne Clark died, I felt we lost our mother in the parish. And they really were my favorite people, because you saw what they did, what they changed, how they saw the parish change. They shepherded the people through their commitment, their steadfastness, through all the ups and downs and twists and turns of life. So people like that. Now those same people are being recreated today. Those four guys, Joe Perna, Pat Clancy, and Charlie Brennan, I used to go and play golf with every Thursday morning. We'd leave here at 9 o'clock in the morning, come back at 6:30 at night. It was the longest golf day of my life every Thursday. They would talk about when the fair began. They were just, had great jobs, big jobs, but then would be up here so many nights of the week all throughout the year. So there's some of my favorite people for sure.
As a student of Cardinal Foley and St. Denis, there's been so many people who've impacted me. Some of them are Mrs. Boyle, Mrs. Block, Mrs. D'Angelo, Father Kevin, Father Jim, and Chris Gorski.
Well, I have to start with Father Jim and Father Kevin. They by far are my favorites. I have to look at the principals that I taught under, who are still good friends of mine today. Sister Mariana, who hired me, Sister Joellen, Mary Ann D'Angelo, great people. The various teachers that I've taught with over the years that I've still remained good friends. And most importantly, all the parents that I met over the years that have been good friends and will always be friends, life friends forever.
Barths, the Breens, the Crowleys, Curtins, the DeCipios, Doyles, Gormleys, Grants, Kearneys, McGinns, Marianis, McCoys, McCusker, Mangello, Morrises, Nolans, Persons, Quinns, Ryans, Shanks, Schusters, Stretches, Woodburns, and the Zabels.
One of my favorite people at St. Denis is Mary Agnes Ostick. So she has this ability to build the community and to include everyone and bring out the best in everyone. She also, reminds us of God's place in the theater and how we pray as a theater group and dedicate our work to something bigger than who we are. And that's pretty special.
Probably the first person I met was Mrs. Gregory. She lived across the street from me, and she told me who I needed to call. She knew I was a part-time working mom, who I needed to call, let your kids go to Liz McCrade's house. She takes everybody after school. You need to meet the Bradleys on the corner. They have the same kid, the same age as your first. And she was like my orientation mentor into the parish. And then following that, meeting Mrs. Clark and Mrs. Costa, they were like my, they were the people I looked up to. That they gave me such great advice on being a mother. When we first came to the parish, Father Ceroli was a member here back in the 80s, and he invited me into a small group, religious group, met on Wednesday nights, and I met parishioners that way, and we prayed together. And the spirituality part of my life was, in addition to the Halloween stuff, there was this spiritual life that I was being offered all the time. Father Kevin came in here when there was a lot of healing that needed to be done. He has done an incredible job over the years, and he has brought senior citizens, the school parents, the prep kids, CYO and the YAA, and we are all whole again. We are whole. And that has a lot to do with Father Kevin Gallagher.
St. Denis has some amazing people, starting with Father Kevin, who is an incredible pastor. We've got some amazing families, the Stretch family, the Kearney family, the Hagen family, the Clark family, the Pergolinis, the Lineys, the Barths. There's so many amazing families at St. Denis, and I just want to wish them all a happy St. Denis birthday.
So I thought about this one, and my pick for that one was Maurice Cheek, so I'm not going to remember what number Maurice wore. But for two reasons. One, Maurice is a point guard, was point guard for the team, and he was a quiet leader. And he didn't need to have to say a whole lot in order to lead, and I think that is Jesus. And the other is after Maurice was a coach, after he played, he became a coach, and he coached for the Portland Trailblazers at one point. And I actually just looked at this video last night. And there was a young girl who was singing the national anthem, and she forgot the words as she was singing. And he just came from the sideline and put his arm around her and started singing the song with her. And that just was so compassionate, and that just reminds me of Jesus.
Tyrese Maxey. He wears number 0, which isn't a number because he's all about the team. He is the guard that brings the ball down for the Sixers. He gives 120%, both on and off the court. He is all about the team. And to me, he is the epitome of leadership and a role model for all ages.
I believe if he played football, he'd be the quarterback. If he played basketball, he'd be the point guard. I think he'd be responsible for running the team, and I also think he would be the captain, setting the standards for how the game should be played.
That's one of my tougher questions to answer, but I would say Jesus probably would be a great team member on any sport. I would not picture him doing something that is extremely violent, nothing like wrestling or something like that, but something competitive. He'd be just a great team player, and Jesus would be so humble. He would accept any number they gave him.
I look at Jesus as wearing number 53, which was my dad's old number in high school, as the center, because he gets the ball, the faith, and hands it off to Father Gallagher, Father Jim, Monsignor Vogan, Monsignor Trinity, all the different priests that have been here. And then the different priests hand it off or pass it along to all the different parishioners.
Jesus would be a Philly, and he would be a catcher because he catches everything that we can throw at him, and he always catches it and throws it right back at us. I really believe that his number is number 1 because he's not only a number 1 for me, but number 1 in all of our hearts, and I believe we can count on him on catching everything we throw at him.
So I don't think he would be an athlete. I thought he would play the role of Harry Callis, watching the game from above and singing high hopes at the end of every game.
I don't know what number he'd wear, but he would be a baseball catcher. And he'd be a baseball catcher because he's involved in every play. And you don't always see him. He's got his face mask on. You don't always recognize who he is. But he's involved in every play. Some of them are dramatic at home plate, and some of them are just run-of-the-mill. He calls the pitches. He calls the shots. So I'd have to say he'd be a A baseball catcher.
Well, I'm kind of a fan of basketball, so I see him as like being a point guard because he directs the show. He moves the movement on the floor, and he's, putting people where they need to be, and he's totally selfless. I mean, the point guards generally don't score a lot of points. They lead in assists and everything else. They're always looking to feed others and to have them to do the actual scoring. So that's how I see him, is he's just directing the show. And if we're smart, we'll listen to him, we'll do what he tells us, and we'll be happy in our lives. Doesn't mean nothing bad will ever happen to us, but we will live, joy-filled lives. And it's just, putting Christ at the center.
Well, I think he would be a point guard, only because the point guard sees the whole picture and is able to move people into positions that need to be moved. The only number I can think of ever in our family, when you hit 33, it's like your Jesus year, so I think he needs to wear 33.
He would be a coach. He would be that coach who just innately understands the game and the fundamentals and could explain it to you on a basic level to help you understand and improve. He would be that coach that believed in you and could bring out your abilities and help you to be the best person that you could be.
I don't know what position he would play. I think he would look like Brandon Marsh, though, from the Phillies. He'd probably wear number 3, I guess.
I can't imagine Jesus being anything but a quarterback on the Philadelphia Eagles. And I think he'd have to wear number 3 to represent the Trinity.
At this time, it would probably be blessed are the peacemakers, because we need more peacemakers in our community, in our country, in our world.
Oh, yes. The first one, blessed are the poor in spirit, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. That refers to how we should carry ourselves. Actually, the Beatitudes are, Christ is describing himself, and he's saying, be like me. So in my mind, I've been through so many things in my life, it's made me very crystal clear that I'm not responsible for any of these things. The Lord made them all happen, and we just have to humble ourselves each day and seek his guidance, seek his grace, seek his will, and do it to the best of our ability. We're nothing without him. We can't take our next breath without the Lord. That's what I believe, and that's what I've experienced in my life. So to me, that is like the focus, to try to be just a good, humble priest, to help people out. But the whole thing about being totally dependent on God, I mean, that's just, that is being poor in spirit, that you realize that you can't do anything on your own.
The one that speaks to me that I feel is alive in my life is blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. I've been comforted. When somebody is sick here in this parish, and or somebody is going through a tough time, it's not unusual for you to get a text like, we're going to meet and pray the rosary tonight somewhere. The ambulance comes down the street and your neighbors are there in the ER waiting for you when you get there. So that kind of stuff has happened for me personally, and I know that I've been part of it for others. And then when people die, we're there. We do that corporal work of mercy that, you bury the dead. And, going to each other's parents' funerals and members of the parish funerals is the beatitude that really, to me, is alive. It's tangible. It's tangible.
So my favorite beatitude are, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. This really speaks to me as a preschool teacher, as peaceful resolution is part of our daily routine, and I think it continues through your life and is so important as a way to resolve conflict and really show God's divine love throughout your life.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. I think there's too much confrontation and conflict in the world, both locally, nationally, and internationally, and we could use a few more peacemakers who could qualify as children of God.
My favorite beatitude involves mercy, of course, because mercy's been part of my life since I was at a mercy school in grade school. So when I read the Beatitudes, the word mercy jumps out at me, because I always think, it encompasses so much of what Jesus taught us. and not just, when you think of mercy, of forgiving people, but including people and loving people and accepting who they are. It's all mercy, and that's a really important aspect of my life.
I'm going to pick 3. I've lost 2 sisters and both of my parents, and I rely on that those who mourn will be comforted. And there is no better place to look than to the Lord for comfort. You don't grow up and be taught by the Sisters of Mercy for 12 years and not understand living the Beatitude of Mercy. I grew up with a mom who lived the corporal works of mercy and the spiritual works of mercy, and they really are a blueprint for living. Peacemakers. In our world today, if we don't think about the beatitude of being a peacemaker and loving those around us and being called a child of God, just unbelievable. So can I pick one favorite? I don't think so, but if I can pick 3, those would be my 3.
I love Blessed Are the Peacemakers. I feel that that's another gift that God gave me to try to bring peace to relationships. And I was remembering when I taught the 4-year-olds, I had a peace rose on my desk. And the little kids, if they got in a tiff, they would pull up 2 chairs, they'd sit knee to knee, they'd get the peace rose from my desk, and the one child would say something like, "I'm sad you knocked my blocks down." And then the other child would hold the rose and say, "I'm sorry, I thought we were playing like that." And then they would stand up and then they would say, "Do you want a hug or a handshake?" And that's how we ended that session. It was always so dear to watch.
Blessed are they who mourn, for they shall be comforted. In our community, families have seen sadness and death, and I've seen our parish community pitch in to provide them the love and support that they need.
Blessed are the peacemakers, because they shall be called the children of God. I was so lucky to teach the 3-year-olds for so many years, and the innocence and the honesty that I witnessed in them every day brought peace to my life, and that's why I love that beatitude.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. And I think that that is my favorite beatitude, because I think about being a teacher, a parent, and now a principal. And there are so many situations where you are dealing with students and you try to do so in a way that promotes peace and community. And because you want kids to feel that even when they make mistakes, they're still loved. So that's the reason that is my favorite.
Well, first and foremost, the Beatitudes are my favorite gospel of all. The 5th chapter of Matthew's gospel stand out. I think it's the culmination at the end of the Beatitudes. I went to St. James. I never answer a question as it's asked. I give a better response than a question. And it's the last part. It's the last part of the Beatitudes, those simple words, rejoice and be glad. Rejoice and be glad. Faith is a journey of joy. If it's a journey of sorrow, you're not over Good Friday yet. But it's a journey of joy. Pope Francis reminds us of that countless times. He says he's tired of seeing miserable Christians. And the joy of the gospel, he gave us one of his teachings. So that's my favorite part of the whole of the Beatitudes. Each one of them builds on and they're interdependent. But those last words, rejoice and be glad, for your reward will be great in heaven. That's my favorite part of the Beatitudes.
Blessed are those who mourn. And I was surprised because it doesn't sound like something that would propel you forward. But until I thought about it, I'm of an age now where people in my life, not only family but friends, are passing on. So I'm more conscious of mourning in terms of sympathy and gratitude. So it isn't just mourning like being sad. For me, it was mourning in terms of spending time thinking about the person and his or her influence on my life.
My favorite beatitude is, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for they shall inherit the kingdom of God." For me, I like the reminder that God is the reason for everything that we do. I also like that reminder that there is a constant need for improvement in my relationship with God and in my prayer life, and that, we can continue to work on that like each and every day.
Yeah, as a football player, I've really connected with Coach John O'Galley.
Mrs. Mendez was our Mercy Ministers leader. She really taught us what it was to give back and made the best of our service trips. Miss Mo Sullivan was my basketball coach. I was not a good athlete, and she really gave me the confidence I needed to be on the team. And she actually taught me how to make a foul shot, which is a miracle in my book. And Kathy Clinton, she brought me onto the CARES program as an adult, and the Bicentennial committee, and between her and Father Kevin, they really make me feel like I have a role in the community.
So Sister Joellen said yes to me when I went to her and said, can I direct a play here? And she was like, yeah, that's fine. So for 20 years, I've been the director of the St. Genesius Theater Society, which has allowed me to meet tons of families where at my age now, I probably would be going to Mass and no one would know who I was. And now I have kids coming down the aisle and waving to me because they're in the play and they kind of know who Mrs. Ostick is, which is great. But I really do think my mentors were Father Ciroli. Like he was probably my biggest mentor here at St. Denis.
So I'm so lucky being at this school that I still get to see some of the great teachers who taught me. Some of them are Rita Block. I love seeing Diane Brown, Jackie Ryan, Mary Kearney. And my 8th grade teacher, Marie Peltier, was definitely set the bar for teachers as far as giving that strict part of the Catholic education, but also giving that tender love that was so important.
The height of my athletic career was 5th and 6th grade football, so I had to say Leo Clark has sort of embodied football for me growing up at St. Denis. And then I was in the band when I was at St. Denis School, so I played saxophone in the band, and Mr. Kormansky was a big influence on just my love of music growing up.
Some of my favorite teachers were Mrs. Block, Mrs. Calderon, Mrs. Clark was amazing. Some of my favorite coaches were Jay Stretch and Gary Pergolini, and the list goes on and on.
When I was a parent here at St. Denis, I was on the YAA, which is the Youth Athletic Board, for many, many years. Tom Kearney at the time was the leader of that board. I can't say enough about Tom Kearney. He was the epitome of leadership and dedication. It is a tremendously daunting task to run all the sports that we have, all the fields, all the uniforms, all the licenses. And Tom did it year after year with great success and ease.
If the past is any indication as to what the future will be, I would think it would be very bright. I was here for the 175th anniversary, and all indicators would be it's a very bright future.
I'm astounded when I come to Mass at the young community that is here at St. Denis, and I just see that continuing to grow and thrive as young people are happy to come to the church and be a part of this community. So I look forward to seeing St. Denis continue to thrive with young families and older families nurturing those young families.
At school, I see so many new faces and young families, and as our parish continues to grow, we will be able to use their support as our parish continues to get bigger and take on more families.
So despite my type A personality and my planning, I have learned through experience that life brings hairpin turns and you never know what's around the corner. But I see continued growth of this community. And the reason for that is each person brings their own unique spirit and spark. And each member of this community helps that spirit and that spark to continue. And I see that just being passed down on and on and on, and the continuation of this community well into the future.
I think the future is very promising, mostly due to the efforts of our current pastor, Father Kevin Gallagher. He has extraordinary people skills. He seems to be able to connect with people regardless of their age, and he gets everybody headed in the same direction.
The future is strong, I can say that, because it's filled with faith, and it's a community, it's a family, it's a body that's living and breathing and thriving. And that's why I feel that the friendships that are generational here, That's why we're going to continue to thrive. Like any family, we've had troubles, we've had hard times, we've had joyful times, and that's what strengthened us and continues to strengthen us. I always love the words of the scripture that remind us when one member of the body suffers, we all suffer. When one rejoices, we all rejoice. I think what makes us thrive and what will make us continue to be the presence, our own statement of mission, and our statement of purpose, beacons of love and mercy, is because we do it together. And to see that we're a neighborhood, we're a community, we're a family, that has its tremendous blessings. It has its heaviness too. Everybody's in one another's business, but that's so good that we know one another's joys and sorrows, their burdens, and there's such beauty in that. And that's what makes us thrive. And so many people will say to me that visit here, they can see it and they can feel it just from our Sunday liturgies. We're a community that prays together. We're a community that celebrates together. And that really is our strength. And it's only, in my opinion, it's only getting stronger. Right? It's only getting stronger by the day.
I am always just so grateful that this community is community. People care about each other. When people are experiencing hardships, the amount of outpouring and compassion that other people in the St. Denis community show is really amazing. And so in the future, I hope that we never lose that sense of community that makes us feel like we can have differences of opinions, but we work together and we collaborate, I think, for the good of everybody. And that's wonderful.
Oh, a very bright future. We just look at what's going on at the parish. I mean, our school is thriving. It's maxed out, I think. We're close to 500 some students. We have very active ministries, that deal with the corporal works of mercy throughout the parish. The people seem to be happy here. Father Kevin is a great pastor. He does a great job. Continually revitalizing the parish. I just see that the parish continuing to thrive under him. And, this beautiful adoration chapel that's going up. There's a lot of good things happening here. There's a lot of energy in the parish, and it's just a very vibrant place, and people like being here, and I think the future is very bright. I mean, the parish is just thriving. You can see like the families that we have, young families, young children.
Well, to be quite honest, you've got great leadership. I think Father Kevin is as fresh today as he was, when he first came. And he has a vision for the parish. Also, I sense, as I did when I was pastor, a great spirit of celebration. This is evidence of that you're putting a lot of effort into a very important moment in the life of the parish, the anniversary, and volunteerism. I think that may have begun because of the fair, could have been there for a long time. But I think that's one of the wonderful gifts that the parish has. People are willing to jump in. People, St. Denis's, like to be together, and they like the occasions that provide those opportunities.
I believe the future St. Denis Parish is built on community and support, academic excellence, and faith and spirituality. Those are the building blocks that I learned as a very young person that I still have with me today.
I see such growth and depth in our parish. I go to the 6:30 Mass on Sunday. It was packed this morning. It packed. But Good Friday service was packed. It is a parish that is thriving and growing, and I see the young people coming and being part of it, and that speaks well to me of where we're heading. And like I said, just being part of something. I love being with young people and just seeing them in those pews. I know we're heading in the right direction.
I've been truly a lifelong member of the parish, baptized at the church. I've been part of the parish for over 40 years. I see the same families that were a member of the community when I was young. They are sending their kids here now. I see only good things on the horizon.
So they say history repeats itself, and I know that to be true for St. Denis. There's a reason why generations of families are rooted here. Over time, the tight-knit community evolves into family and make it feel like you really have a sense of belonging here.
In research and in medicine, if you make changes, you think, is it what I'm going to do now, is this sustainable? You know, in your research and your doctoral kind of work, what I'm going to implement now, is that a sustainable project? And I think we have always been sustainable because of the people and the involvement in our parish. We've always had priests that have been our administrators, and they have been actively involved in we've had wonderful pastors, and great leaders. So that's been great. But I think that we've always had the strength of the parishioners and the people that make up this community and are active in it. We're not a deadbeat parish. We're a very active, alive parish, and I see that that's going to continue. I think that's the future for our parish.
I feel that St. Denis is only going to grow bigger and stronger.
I am so encouraged by the life and vibrancy of our parish. When, like at 6:30 Mass during Lent, when I tell friends that there were 70 people in church that morning, they're incredulous. And when I tell them that, oh yeah, we have families that go to Mass at St. Denis, I'm really excited for the future of our parish.
Oh, I think it has a great future, but I always look to the Lord for the planning the future. He is so trustworthy that his plans are much better than anything I could think of.
This is a huge milestone for the church, and I'm so happy to be here to experience it.
Happy birthday, I guess, would be one of it. But in my time here, I sort of made a list of 8 pastors. I was here for 15 years with the Augustinians, 27 priests and brothers. So I would say it's a good future.
First of all, having moved here when we relocated from Maryland, it's a wonderful neighborhood to raise kids in the St. Denis community, even more so.
I've enjoyed my 60 years here at St. Denis. It's been a part of me. I've been a part of it. Even though I've moved and I'm out in Westchester, I'm still down here for different things. I still support St. Denis Parish. I always will.
200 years of St. Denis, I always help out, make sure everything is stronger, bigger, and nice, healthy, and become around people.
Community life in a parish is essential, not only to negotiate the relationships that are so important in the parish, but the very difficult society in which we live. Your family can be strong, your personal commitments can be strong, but if you're worshiping week in and week out with like-minded people, that can give you the resilience and the direction that you may want your life to go. So I think this is a wonderful opportunity to celebrate the gift that St. Denis has been to the Augustinians. A lot of vocations came from here, to the Archdiocese and to the world. So congratulations, and I hope it's a great event.
The community is everything. This is a wonderful place to live, and it was a great place for me to grow up, and I'm really fortunate to be able to raise my family here.
I want to wish St. Denis a happy 200th birthday and 200 more years of excellence.
You know, people ask me now, my kids just ask me, why are we keeping this big house on Cherry Lane when all the kids are gone? Because it's being in Merwood Park and worshiping with your neighbors at Merwood Park at St. Denis is intangible. You can't get that when you move into the condos. So that's why we're not leaving.
I am so grateful to have been a member of this community for as long as we have been. When one of our sons got married, his best man was somebody that he went all through grade school with, and when Billy talked about walking down the path as part of his speech as a best man, it made me know that this was the right place for us and our family, and it's a wonderful, wonderful place to raise a family, and for that I'll be forever grateful. Thank you.